Chapter 7, Star Spirit on Ice. If you've seen my previous videos, you know exactly what happens at the beginning of each chapter. We start with Princess Peach in the castle with a little star known as Twink. And that actually allows us to talk to these NPCs here, which is pretty cool. I always like doing that, especially with the Bowser NPCs, as like a Bowser enemy, to just see what there's like, just being a Bowser, goon. This time we could do a lot more since we have this new parasol that allows us to transform into anybody we see, like this guy. Pretty neat. And we go for this door, which is usually guarded because now we're an enemy. And this door happens to be the room we've always been in, because it's always been guarded. Oh well. Anyway, the main door we get to is this one up here. It is nice just to be able to walk through these guys and not have to worry about anything. Except for this guy. He's like, hey, you can't pass through because my relief guy isn't here, and I'm really pissed off about that. In order to do that, we need to go out into the front using a castle key, which we got from that same guy. And we find that the guy that they need is right the F to sleep. He fell right to sleep, and we can't do anything about that, can we? Anyway, no matter what you do, and he will always be sleepy because he's tired. Though what we can do is use Princess Peach's magic parasol to become him. And he even won't think anything of you pretending to be him, which is pretty funny. So let's go back up the stairs so we can go past this guy. And walking through this part of the castle, we can see that Bowser never repaired the glass where Mario fell out of, which is kind of rude of him not to do that, but whatever. So yeah, this pathway takes us way up into the castle where we see all these guys, including Cammy Koopa, which is pretty scary. Unfortunately, her disguise doesn't work on Cammy because she smells her perfume, and because these guys usually smell bad, I guess, it doesn't work. We were so close to finding out Bowser's secret plan, but we failed miserably. What a shame. Anyway, back to Mario. We are near the end of the game, so there's a couple of side things we can do here, so let's get some of the side things done. Something you should always be on the lookout for is stuff at Mario's house, because there's always new things that happen in every chapter, so make sure you check out that. I have talked about this before, but it is nice to see a little mail card, so if you ever want to see extra little things in the game, go check these out to see what the characters are up to. And of course, there's a lot more pages of Luigi's Diary to read, but that's kind of an asshole thing to do. One thing you want to do is go to the Toad Town sewers with our new partner. In this previous area, which we really couldn't navigate before, we can. With Lackluster's ability, we can go past these spikes and enter a whole new world of opportunities. There are a lot of enemies in this section of these sewers, so keep it in mind that. So yeah, in order to get through here, you have to fight a lot of enemies. But over here, you'll find an area which we will need to do, which, well, is actually a required item for the next area. It's the Ultra Boot. This increases Mario's jump attack, but also allows him to jump a little higher in the air, allowing us to hit things that are out of reach. So now any block that's too high, Mario can now hit it. Now I know what you're wondering, where do we go for the next chapter? Where's this ice area? Well, first you gotta go to Merlon and talk to him. This ninja here will tell us you to go, please hurry to the ice region. It's apparently below the Toad Town sewer. Don't know why this is the way they make you find it, but whatever. Anyway, let's go back to this part of the Toad Town sewer, which we've already been to the right. This time we actually go here. As you can see, there's invisible blocks here that you can now hit using your double jump that you got. Well, the Ultra Boot, it's not really a double jump, but you know what I mean. And over here will lead us to a very cold version of the Toad Town sewer, meaning that we're really close to the town called Shiver Town. Shiver City, or whatever the hell it's called. And going this pipe will lead us directly to that area. Anyway, this is Shiver City. It's inhabited entirely by penguins, everyone's favorite Mario characters. There's penguins. There's this green guy who's the guard here, who's kind of an asshole. And he'll get super mad if you jump on the ice like that and cracking it. He's like, fuck you, dude. And yes, he will kick you in the ass for doing that. Well, you can visit the penguins. There's not a whole lot you can do here. In fact, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of trouble going on here at all. It seems like a pretty chill place. Haha, get it? Except for this one house on the very left of the town. You go in here, you'll find this woman penguin. I don't know what her name is. Pengu? I don't know. She'll ask if you want to see her husband, and you go to the room, and he's dead. Yeah, he's just dead. And she screams, thinking that you killed her husband. And uh-oh, the green penguin's there, and he really doesn't like us, so that's not a good idea, is it? We're going to jail, aren't we? This will be Mario's first time going to jail, that's for sure. Mario claims he's innocent, but no, the penguins don't believe him. But Mario did find a letter in this penguin's hand, so he's like, I'm going to prove my innocence by fighting this guy. So yeah, at this point, we cannot leave town, and every penguin we talk to claims that we are a murderer, because apparently everyone knows that we murdered the penguin. The mayor penguin, by the way. That's the mayor, in case you're wondering. See, all the penguins are assholes to Mario in this town. Well, this is not that shocking, seeing as Mario killed a baby penguin in Mario 64. I don't think they'll ever forgive him for that. Anyway, we gotta find Herring Way, and in order to do that, we gotta destroy this pond, which we can now do, seeing as that guard guy is gone. And the bottom of that is the warehouse key, which of course unlocks the door that's right in front of your face. Can you see it? It's right there. This takes us to a abandoned place, but there's a spring in here which allows us to go to the roof. Here we find the author they were looking for, called Herringway. Yes, his name's Herringway. Great name. So this guy's been running secret mystery murder novels in his room because he likes to do it in the privacy. I write books, so I get need peace and quiet is very important. So now the plot thickens. They think that's Herringway who killed him because he wrote his last name down. And he wrote murder mystery novels, so of course he would murder the mayor. But it turns out that this isn't really a murder mystery because the guy is alive. Oh. Well, if you want deaths in a Mario game, you gotta wait for the next favorite Mario game. Let's just say that. So apparently he was reaching for a gift and he slipped on his ass and passed out. That's literally the whole thing. And we spent this much time worrying about it. How lovely. And the pink penguin bitch here claims like, oh, I totally know you're innocent. You know, she was calling us out the whole time and we had very little evidence on us. She's a fucking cunt! Anyway, now that's all done, this penguin here was blocking this right side of the town. We'll let us go through now, because the mayor lets us. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the most of this chapter. There's not a whole lot of story afterwards. Though on the way, we do get stopped by our first enemy of the chapter, being Junior Troopa, who's back at it again. This time he's got a magic wand. I mean, didn't he have one of those before? But yeah, whatever, Junior Troopa. Yeah, I don't really know what his plan is here. So now he uses some magic spells, which are pretty random, and does things like similar magic Koopas have done in the past. But overall, he hasn't really done anything exciting or new to really shock us up this time, so really this boss fight is easy. Junior Troopa doesn't get much of a fight. He's not that great of a boss fight, so he sucks. Let's get rid of him now. He had a much better chance against us when he had those spike and flying wings, but the magic wand did nothing for him. And also, if we come back to him after he passed out, he's frozen to death. That's sad. Anyway, moving on, we get to the overworld here. We got some new enemies to fight, including this is the frost piranha. They're piranha plants, but they are frozen, so they have a chance to freeze you. And yeah, they're pretty much piranha plants with a chance to freeze you, so that's kind of annoying, but not really. So yeah, the enemies are a little bit more annoying in this area due to the freezing chance is a lot higher here. But that's what you expect in the late game. We don't have any new partners to collect. By this point in the game, you should have your stuff mastered, so none of this stuff should be really surprising to you. But what may shock you is the fact there is a ghost here. A really weird looking ghost. Ghosts will claim that will eat us, but we've already dealt with ghosts before, so this guy really isn't nothing to us, so we're gonna fight him. Whatever this thing is, the game doesn't know. Apparently they don't know what it is. It just looks terrifying. But whatever. Honestly, I'm not really terrified by this thing, it just looks really goofy. So let's hit it, and honestly that HP isn't that high, so whatever. It's gonna charge as shit, apparently. Oh, in case you're wondering, this giant attack, you know how much damage it does? Just one damage. He actually thought we're scared yet, but honestly that was the most pathetic attack I've ever seen in my life, so I'm not scared at all. And with only a few hits or smacks, this guy goes down for the count, pretty easily. And it turns out that wasn't a ghost at all, but star spirits. Interesting. We make it over to the right, we find a star spirit village, yes. And there's Marlee here, who is not Marlon. Tells us about that he takes care of these little star spirits who are going to be main stars one day. And they like to scare off strangers by pretending to be ghosts, scare off Bowser and his cronies, I guess. Pretty interesting. Basically, he tells us all about how important this mission is to save the star spirits who are now a lot of them stuck on the ground because they can't gravitate up to the sky because of Bowser. And the last one is in a crystal palace not too far from this star valley. And he gives us a scarf. This scarf's actually pretty important, believe it or not. Anyway, let's go to the left and go to find this crystal palace where we run into another enemy. What the hell is that? This weird thing is a gold pit. A gold pit, not confused with gold bin, is a really annoying enemy that I do not like. These guys love to spit up rocks at you, and they do a lot of damage. So that's incredibly annoying. I don't know why, some about these things irk me. I don't like them. I should probably have better commentary than I don't like them, but I just don't like them. I mean, look at them. They look like freaks. Anyway, you need to make it back to Shiver City, which isn't very hard since the paths between the two places are pretty short. And talk to Mayor Penguin here, and he'll give you a bucket because, yeah, it's very important to get this bucket. Buckets are apparently very important to get. So yeah, in the middle passageway between the two cities, you'll already have seen this snowman barrage. Here, one that's missing a scarf and one that's missing a bucket. For some reason, these guys are now playable on Mario Kart, despite the fact they're inanimate snowmen. I do not understand that. Nintendo, can you explain it to me? Gwillings, Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, not playable, but Snowman is. Whatever. But apparently these snowmen are alive after you give them their scarf and hat, because this is Frosty the Snowman logic, and they'll move away just so you can go to the new temple. This is the crystal... What did I say crystal? Shiver Mountain. I have a brain fart sometimes, alright? Don't mind me. Anyway, Shiver Mountain is pretty linear. In fact, this whole chapter is pretty short and doesn't have a lot going for it overall. It's probably my least favorite chapter in the game, mostly because, like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot going for it. Most of the enemies are the same 2 enemies, which aren't really the funnest enemies to fight in the game. So overall, like I said, not my favorite, but the only thing it really has going for it is the fact you're pretty late in the game, so you have a lot of abilities up your sleeve, so that's good. So there's some pretty strange stuff, like during this part, you get to hit the switch with Cooper. Alright, pretty easy, but what the hell? Apparently there are 2 of him, and we gotta figure out which one is the real him. Honestly, it's kind of fun to actually play this, but at the same time it's pretty easy since one talks a lot more obviously wrong. Even though Cooper doesn't have much of a personality, it's pretty easy to figure out which one, because one of them just says, "You're an idiot, you're an asshole," so of course you choose the right one, which is this ghost guy over here. He was lying. Of course he was lying. And now we gotta fight him. But this just ain't any ghost, this is a doppel ghost. These guys are pretty interesting, because their main attack is transforming into whatever party member you have. And those doppel ghosts will use the attacks that your partner has, whatever one you have. So depending on what it is, it could be hard or easy to fight. Once you defeat those doppel ghosts, you'll find even more enemies to fight. Well, if you land the bomb hit. This is a white clubber. Yeah, white clubber. Why did I have to call them that? This does not sound right at all. But they're basically clubbers that, are stronger attacks. That's about it. And you'll also find a passageway once you go past that has items that if you take it off will block the door and you have to place another item. So if you want one of those items, you can take it, but if you don't, then don't worry about it. It's a neat little gimmick, but it's really not that useful. Anyway, past that area, we find a little area that we need to blow up with Bombette, which leads us to this pretty place full of crystals and a star frozen in a diamond-shaped ice cube, which apparently has a form. Apparently this person here is the ancestors to all those little other guys we've seen, and they've been known about us, and they know about our destiny at Shiver Mountain and to the Crystal Palace and all this other stuff. But unfortunately their story is so boring it makes Mario fall asleep. And they will give us this crystal star, not fused with the Kirby and the crystal star shards. I'm having a brain fart here, don't mind me. Anyway, you get this star to put into the place that needs to take you to the next place. You get it! So now instead of going down there, we go up and place it in this pretty obvious spot, which will make ice stairs. Anyway, there's a lot of stairs to climb, a lot of stairs to jump up, but once you're to there, you get to the Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace is a pretty interesting place since, it has a giant mirror, like that one level in Mario 64. Not the level, but the hub world, you know what I mean. You know the area I'm talking about, right? So this area looks interesting, but it's kind of annoying to play because it's just a giant maze, really. There's new enemies like the Swoopula. They're swoops, but they're swoopulas. Yeah, they're just better versions of swoops. Not very difficult, but they will try to suck your blood, which is kind of gross, but whatever. Anyway, so it's kind of a bit of a minor maze where you kind of have to run back and forth like a Metroidvania game, but a little more extreme, but not really. Just to find keys and chests and all over the place. Like one of the main gimmicks is hitting this red switch will swap the doors up and down, because only certain doors you can open, like you have the blue key, you can open the blue door, and so on and so forth. Anyway, when we go all the way to the right here, we find a block, but that doesn't correlate with this side, and we actually can go over there, and oh, we're going on the other side of the mirror, that's pretty neat. And when we go back the way we came from on the other side, we realize that wasn't even a mirror at all, it was actually another Dupligos. So yeah, you already know what Dupligos are at this point, we fought them already. They are pretty fun, little mini boss fights, even though they're not really boss fights, they're just enemies, but they're pretty fun. On the other side, we can go across where we went before, but this time in this room, which has other stuff that we didn't find before. And then, on another path, when we're trying to find the keys, we'll come across this wall, which will explode Bombette, but also a bunch of other Bombettes. Oh my god, more Dupligos. And like the Cooper situation, we gotta figure out which one of these is the real one. But based on the dialogue, it's pretty easy to figure that out, at least for me. Maybe it's harder for you, maybe if a little kid might have a little trouble here, but it's not very hard. So here we gotta hit each one that isn't the right one in order to truly find the right one. And apparently Bombette is so happy once you defeat the ghost that she will kiss us, which is kind of strange since she doesn't have a mouth. Maybe she does, I don't really know. Anyway, once that's done, we can finally open this red door with the red key. And we have to fight some more enemies here, like that clubber. And doing so will destroy a statue on the other side, as a clubber apparently represents a statue on the other side of the mirror, which is kind of strange, but don't think about it too hard. And once you get past that, we find another mirror image showing us what to do. And once we do what they tell us to do, which is shoot Cooper on the other side here, where it becomes a little crazy, seeing as a bunch of other guys come with him, including people that would make no sense to be there. So each one of these guys not only look nothing like Cooper, but they also claim to be Cooper. Keep in mind, they can't change what Cooper looks like, so it's not an actual trick. It's literally just as stupid as it sounds. They're literally just pretending to be random fucking people, including a random old guy. And while I do like these Ghost little challenges here, the only problem is that we've had multiple with Cooper, but we don't have them of every character, and that'd be really fun to see their interactions. Like, we've seen Bombay and Cooper, but I want to see, like, Goombario and Bo and shit like that, but whatever. And around this point in this dungeon, we find what my main problem is. We're just going through the same corridors over and over again. There's a lot of the similar enemies that aren't really that fun to fight, and it gets a little tedious, this dungeon. Like, yeah, I've seen this area a million times. I'm getting tired of walking through this area. Though we do have the albino dino puzzle, where we have to move the dinos based off the statues in the background. This one is pretty easy, actually. You just push them around, and once you put them right above their buttons, you get to go to the next section. And yeah, we're finally out of the Crystal Palace. I didn't like it. We finally get to see the actual boss who runs this place. My least favorite boss fight in the entire game. Yes, this is tell I'm not a big fan of this chapter. One, this guy has no presence beforehand. His design's alright, but like there's like basically nothing of the Crystal King. This is pretty much our first introduction to this character. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just not a big fan of this boss fight. He has 3 crystal guys that he will recreate, and they will use tons of magic abilities to freeze your ass constantly, which is a very annoying ability, and spawn these fuckers all the time, and they do a lot of damage, so you always have to hit them. It's fucking annoying, I hate it. This guy will use up a lot of your FP, because you're always going to need to be using multiple hit attacks, because the crystal bits will cause a lot of damage if they're alive. I hate this guy so much. And he also takes a lot of hits. Like, this guy's HP and defense is annoyingly high. So yeah, I am not a big fan of this dude. Even at this point in the game, where you already have all this other stuff, this guy causes a lot of trouble. And yes, I think this guy's harder to fight than actual Bowser and boss fight. That one is challenging but fun. This guy's just a jackass. I hate him. And just when you think you're about to defeat him, he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna turn to 3 of myself. Ha ha ha. And basically, the only way to actually fight this form is just use a multi-hit attack, using more FP that you probably don't have limited use of already, just to get the right one. Because if not, you're wasting a ton of your attack points hitting a false version of himself. God, this boss fight's fucking annoying. Oh, for one final good attack, he's done for the count. The hardest boss in the game, at least in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an expert at this game, alright? With that, my least favorite chapter, which really isn't that bad, just not that great compared to the other chapters, is finally over as we collect the final Star Spirit who looks like a dad. End of chapter, I forgot to say it. Yes, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for chapter 8, the final chapter of Paper Mario. See you then.